Ready to explore the latest trends in real estate? What are innovators in building planning for the future? The Ralph Bivins Project digs deep into the minds of key players in the industry and discussions with today's thought leaders. I'm Ralph Bivins. As a journalist who's covered the real estate and development industry for decades, I invite you to join me as we probe for new ideas and projects that will be making headlines soon. We love to ask hard questions to interesting people. When you've done over 100,000 interviews, you seem to get enlightening answers. Don't forget to download and review this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your audio inspiration. You can also watch and subscribe on YouTube or visit realtynewsreport.com. Welcome. This is Ralph Bivins of the Ralph Bivins Project. We're here today talking with Trey Odom. He's president and CEO of Avera companies. He has built a lot of big buildings, and he has been in this market for a long time and knows many nooks and crannies that other people don't know. And so welcome, Trey. Thanks for taking time to be with us today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You, like I said, you've been around for a few decades, and just kind of wondering, here we are in the fall of 24, and what's your general feel for the Houston area real estate market right now?
Overall, I think we're in really good shape. Development pipeline has cooled dramatically. I think year over year, we're off 70% in construction starts, which is good. That's right. Vacancy levels have come down. And I think it's not just capital markets that have contributed to that. That certainly is the largest factor, the greatest factor. But I think that development sites and the lead-in time and the entitlement of a site, provided you can get the math to work, it's probably double what it was 8 years ago, if not possibly more, which then brings in more risk, right? We used to be able to identify a site, build and lease in 13, 14 months. Now it's 2+ years to kind of get it going. All the processes related to draw the architectural side. Service providers are, and I think, really good here, architects, engineers, and so forth. But the local municipalities, wherever they may be, whether it's Houston, Pasadena, LaPorte, are overwhelmed and understaffed for the most part. So that adds to it.
2 years, man. That sounds like California or something. It's
yeah. We who would have thought that we would be that way? But the lack of good sites just means you're going to work harder on sites that maybe 5 years ago we passed over because of problems. Now, because of their locations, you spend the time on wetlands mitigation or pipelines and so forth. So, and it's worth it. Generally, a well-placed site with a good laid out building goes pretty quick.
And you, interest rates, are they a hindrance to you guys out there?
Absolutely. A line item that used to not really jump off the page, it jumps off the page and hits you in the face today. And that just puts added pressure on all of the other line items, whether it's hard or soft cost. You better know it, and you don't want to bust. And we've been lucky. My brother runs our construction company, so we're pretty good at it. So,
well, you just bit off a pretty big chunk, 34 acres. Baywood Logistics. That's and it's spec, right? This is going to be a big spec building, 400,000 square foot spec building.
Yeah.
So you're pretty confident, man. You're going with the 400,000 square foot spec, no tenant in hand. That shows confidence.
A lot of confidence. It's 4 or 5 miles from both terminals, both container terminals. Maybe a little longer to the other one, but direct access when you're on the southeast side, south of the channel. It's good. It's really good. It's just hard. Just everything takes longer. I mean, this one, I think we may be at year 3 in the development cycle, and we haven't even started building.
Oh man!
Yeah, how about that? And but the location just keeps you coming back to solve the problem. And tenant demand is good. Port of Houston is fantastic. So
that's yeah. I was reading some of your material on your website. We're talking about the 34 acres in Southeast Houston. It's described by you guys by Avera, a rare site on the west side of the ship channel between Highway 225 and Interstate 45, along Red Bluff Road, just south of Red Bluff Road. And I don't know. I know that this is land sites like this. You call it rare, and I believe it is. There's a lot of demand for these properties like this that can be developed. How did you find this? It looks like it's harder to find land right now, is my understanding.
Yeah, it's tough, and then to find sites that don't have a gas line cutting right across it, that kind of stops when you're laying out big buildings. Those type of obstructions can really break it. And but the tenant demand, the location gave us that willingness and drive to solve all the problems. As of today, this is the first site we've ever done a fault line study on, and we did it just because we felt like there was a risk, albeit very small, for a fault that could possibly go into the building. It's the first fault line study we've ever done on a land site. But we've got a lot of faults in Houston. Certainly see them off Old Katy and Briar Grove and all the different neighborhoods. You can see it. You can see it on Woodway. So that was unique. $35,000 later, I could have probably done without that. But come up with a better storefront. But the site just works. We've done, I think, with this building, this will put us about 3 million square feet of development in Pasadena. When we get this one, we're about to announce another one here probably in the next 60, 90 days.
It's also in the Pasadena area.
Yeah, but this it'll be a build-to-suit. And again, kind of in that line, the change when we go back to our first building down there, the change in just the way the city of Pasadena operates in their permitting and how they do it is so different than what it was at that time, 7, 8, 10 years ago, whatever it was. So I don't know that it's better, but it's what you got to go through.
Yeah, well, that's hard. The clock's ticking, and I know it's costing you money all the time. You're kind of having to spend an extra $35,000 every now and then. Not a happy thought. That's a big
deal. Like in Austin, and we're going to have to go look for blind spiders. Yeah.
Yeah, well, fault lines. That's interesting. I thought that does sound like California. It's I didn't know we had fault lines in the greater Houston area, but I guess
thankfully we kind of heard, and I'm not sure it was real, but when you hear things like that, group that had it under contract before us that failed to figure it out. I think their layout was off, but whatever. Maybe they jumped to something else. But you got to investigate those things. And last thing you need is get a building up and have something like that. So
Very good. And of course, when you're dealing with a 400,000 square foot, that's, like 10 acres of land, you're dirt underneath the building. That's so, and out there, I hadn't thought about that.
Probably a little on the smaller. It's a little on the smaller side in that submarket, in particular Southeast, big buildings. Which if you look statistically, we were doing a lot of buildings in that 7, 8, 900,000 range, and it's not what the market wants. They want smaller, not such a big bite.
Right. Well, it's still just the amount of materials involved, pouring all that concrete, raising those walls, just the scale is, it's amazing, I'd read a fact just a couple, I guess, recently. This is just amazing. It's amazing. We had in the Houston area, they went back starting in 1980 to 2023, and they said, well, this is something like 5,000 football fields of industrial space have been built over that 50-year period. 5,000 football fields sounds like a lot, man. That maybe it isn't, but it sounds like a lot.
Maybe that may be a little low.
It could be.
Probably a little low.
It could be. Well, I'm not sure about the actual source of that fact, that stat, but that's what they said.
Well, it's funny you say that, because we were kind of talking about we have a weekly development meeting and staff and so forth, and I guess maybe it was our first. We did 600,000 foot building, 300 car rail area, and 6 lines to the building, and we thought, okay, how many concrete trucks will come to the site? It was either concrete or dirt, I can't recall. The number of trucks would have been stacked end to end from here to San Antonio.
Oh man,
that was kind of fun, and I forgot what the stat was. I can't remember, but it was a giggle. It was a giggle, like, okay,
and yeah, good.
That's a lot of truck.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of concrete. It's big.
I think that big building we did at 225 in Beltway 8 a number of years ago, and just went, wow.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. We talked about the interest rates. How do you just to buy the land, do all these studies, and just that part costs a lot of money, and then to do the actual construction, you're talking about a ton. Do you just you have a loan, or how do you raise the debt or equity to build something of this magnitude?
Something like this, we will go in. You do all your pre-development, just all the due diligence, which is not an insignificant amount today. Again, you want to do it right, and you can't afford a miss. You can't afford a bust in a dirt number or something. But the institutional equity is there, depending on the submarket, depending on the building design, depending on the timing of when that's coming out of the ground. There's really good options in Houston that probably 10 years ago weren't there. Institutional capital loves the port, and for the same reasons we all do. It just keeps coming. And when you show where were we? Almost 20% year over year in tonnage with the port, 23 to 24, something like that. It's like 18%, whatever. It's a good story. Houston's a very good story in that, when you look at COVID and what happened nationally, if you went down to this side of Houston, you'd never know COVID even went on in May, June 2020, April, May, when the whole world was just in fetal position in their bedrooms. Houston was going, and I remember that, and I remember going down there like nobody's wearing masks, there people are working, they got things to do, and that I think there's something to that. I like it, but we were certainly building. We didn't stop, and it worked out nicely because then you had post-COVID onshoring, and the demand for industrial space just went through the roof.
Right.
That's turning point. We're having still some of those positive effects today. But back to your question, it's expensive to run out both the due diligence, the feasibility of it. So you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss on your site, because you could be into it for a pretty good number and it not work. And so you kind of want to be careful. Yeah. You better have a good development team.
Yeah, it's a lot of risk involved. That's I guess I remember a number of years ago the spiel about Houston and everything was, well, Dallas is the place where all the great big industrial distribution building. That's where they had the 1 million square foot. Up down here in Houston, no, it's we don't build that much, so everybody bring it in and ship it up there for some reason. And COVID kind of wiped that out. Is how it seemed to be, because all these companies that start doing like Amazon type stuff. Nobody wants to go to the store; it's crowded and all that. They will start ordering online, and I think that online commerce raised significantly, and that really changed this place. The amount of industrials being built, warehouses everywhere. I drive along like the Beltway, so like the Beltway South, down there. And it used to be by Highway 9. It used to be nothing, not many
homes.
Now, boom, you drive along there from Hobby Airport all the way to the Southwest Freeway. There's a ton of new stuff that's been built in the last couple of years. It's incredible. And I think a lot of it's just this due to e-commerce, I guess they would call it.
Yeah, you're seeing, I think when you look at it, I think the car parks, the employee car parks, office side of it have grown. Something we didn't see 7, 8, 10 years ago. I remember we built a 400,000 foot building north off of Airtex, 375, something like that. And I think the office space was 3,000 feet. That was it. Today, I think that same deal is probably 7,500 to 8,000 feet of office, more employees, more customer service. I think it probably came from somewhere else, and they're putting them in the buildings. I think the distributors have gotten a whole lot better, and technology's helped them, right? What you can get just in the Google machine, you can get a lot. You need a lamp, you can have it in an hour, that kind of thing.
It is amazing. It's amazing.
And so people shop that way, and they're doing other things. So
yeah, that's right. Well, I was looking at some stats recently about the amount of industrial space being built in the greater Houston area, and it was like 2023, there was like 30 million square feet under construction during last year, and it's calmed down a little bit. It's not near 30 million. It's a lot less, more like 11, 14,
16, something like that.
So it's about half as much, so something like that. CBS has different numbers, but you go with theirs. CBRE has pretty good numbers, so I like theirs. But I think that's good, and we're not getting out over our skis, I suppose. And it seems like it's kind of in balance.
Yeah, and you're still there have been a number of transactions that have been significant. Million footer out 290, million footer up north. I mean, big deal up towards Conroe, and we're not chicken feed here. We've done some pretty big buildings. I liked how overall, whether it's us or others, I think they've been pretty good at it, and I think they've been very careful and prudent, and unlike other markets, we're not overbuilt, and we've had 65 plus years of in quarters, but 60 straight quarters of positive net absorption. I mean, we tend to stay in balance pretty good.
Yeah.
That being said, we'll probably overbuild, and there goes that. But I think that's going to be difficult given the site difficulties. I mean, it's just difficult. You look at a site. I don't know. I'd love to see how many sites we look at in a year, and what we really dig into and what works. It's pretty low.
What was on this land where the Baywood Logistics, where you're building that? Was it just raw land?
Just raw land.
Okay.
Raw land sitting next to an apartment multifamily deal just to the south, owned by, at that time, I think it was a partnership that had done some multifamily, done some stuff in that area, and this was left over. And I think they were pleased at their ability. The industrial market supported it, and because it wasn't multifamily, probably because it's floodway. We're going to have to build the site up. Fortunately, there's plenty of dirt on the site to do that. So by the time you do your site detention and so forth, get it up out of that, so your finished floors out of the floodway. So
That's great. Now I know you've done a ton of building on the southeast side, Baytown, etc. And but I know you've also been active on kind of northwest Houston in that general area too.
We have, and northwest Houston, which has always been, it's kind of been northwest southeast, has always been the gold standard for the Houston industrial market. It's who's who. And I wouldn't say it's soft in 2024 and late 2023. It just seemed like activity levels were not what they had historically been. Well, it's back now. It's going good. We've got a big building over off of Antoine or Hollister and the Belt, and activity on it, 250,000 feet, which is a good size. It's not too big, not too small. Activity is really good. February, probably not so much. So fortunately, we weren't finished in February. I think your leasing teams today, I think they're better than they were 5-10 years ago. I think these guys are real dialed in. They know the market better. And you get the right leasing team, they can help a lot. So
looking down at the future, we were 25, everything, there's uncertainty, and one aspect there, I think tied into the port, I guess it would be the longshoreman strike, which lasted for 3 days at the beginning of October, I think, and then, settlement of some sort. But it was kind of a temporary settlement to the January 15th, I believe, was correct.
That too smelled a little political.
Yeah. Do you think that's if it blows up on January 15th and they can't renegotiate a deal, and with the longshoremen, everybody was worried what's going to happen here? They were like panic buying on toilet paper at Costco. When
Maybe
people hear that on the news, they would this is true. They would, Costco shelves were, the tissue aisle was just hear that on the news, and they would, hey, there could be, we got to, get prepared for shortages again. It's that's where the consumer was, but I don't know. And it could be, if shutting down the port is, that's an economic blow to everybody, the whole city and company. You're out there. What do you think about this future longshoreman situation?
I think they'll get it solved. Just all that I've heard. I think they did kick the can down the road. Well, they'll probably say that's apolitical, just like the interest rate drop. That's apolitical. Find that curious, especially when you've got an economy that wasn't doing what it was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. While healthy, it's a little bit more restrictive. I think they'll figure that out. Houston down there, you've got the tugboat ship captains. That's a union. That's a really strong one.
Yeah.
And very, very well run. So they'll get it solved.
And then I think here that, the Port of Houston is going to move their headquarters into town, into that East River. And I don't know what's going to happen to the East River development on the edge of downtown. I don't know what happens to their old headquarters out there, but that's probably going to be for sale or something.
So, pretty good little piece of property.
Yeah. Hey, it might be something you could build on.
Yeah, we've got a deep water site outside the bridge, and it's got dredge material placement. It's got surface. It's got submerged land, which we can reclaim. It's got deep water. Largest barge fleeting terminal is there, and we've got it on the market. The activity level on that is just unbelievable. Really, really good. I think something will happen there. Like everything in the ship channel, it moves slow, just like the barges. It just does, but it's steady and it keeps coming. I think something's going to happen there. I think they're almost, maybe it's by the end of the year, we'll have, I guess, Project 11. The dredging should be getting wrapped up. That's good. We'll be able to bring bigger ships in, which is good.
Yeah. So overall, Trey, we're looking forward into 25 and 2025, and you're just sentiment, optimism, pessimism. What do you think? How are you feeling about the year ahead?
I think cautious, but if you look at the activity level today in the market, it's really good, and the fundamentals are good, and I don't know what's going to happen in our national election. I think that's going to have some impact, some of which we've had. We've had the same party, all but 8 years over the last 24. Is that about right?
I think so.
So, there's some consistency there. Well, I don't agree with it, but I think Texas is in as good a spot as you could ask for. I think we will, if we do go into recession, and I don't think we will, nationally, I think Texas is probably closer to following that now than they were 10, 20 years ago, maybe closer to 20. We seem to be on a little different kick, but I think with the way energy is done, with the way our projects are held, it's a whole lot more stable. It's big, and So I am very optimistic about 2025. I think we'll get probably a rate cut or two, hopefully more than that. Uh, but I think we're kind of underwriting our deals into 2025 based upon the timing of even like this Baywood. I mean, bank draws won't hit from a construction timing probably until potentially third quarter, second quarter. So that could be good. Uh, we're not putting that in our budgets, but that could be a nice little benefit, and we need it. I think the industrial market and its contraction in development pipeline, I think that probably continues next year. I don't think we're going to go from 16 million back to 30 million. It may take us a little while to get back to what was that level? Probably 2022, where we hit the peak. But I think it's in pretty good shape. So and I think the interest rates will certainly help the home building side. And if you look at 2024 home building and how it impacts the U.S. economy, is pretty significant. And the U.S. likes people owning their homes, and so that in itself could kick off some other things that we're not thinking about or considering. But yeah, I think we're pretty positive. We're pretty bullish on 2025.
Fantastic. Well, everybody likes to see lower rates, and that could help a lot of things. I don't know if it could help the Houston office market. That's kind of, people are concerned about that, and I don't know how that's going to play out. But we have a tremendous supply of buildings that are kind of on the obsolete side.
Yep.
Some say. So, what do you think happens to that big sector?
I think that, and I'm kind of always got my ear to the ground on. I like people in the office, but I'm probably old school. I think you do a better job of collaborating, communicating, discussing, and whether we're doing this or, the energy side or whatever. I think in particular, our young people learn more.
Oh, wow.
They learn more than just being in their apartment as an analyst and, talking to the office 3 times a week. That's no good. And that's just my take, but we didn't stop through COVID, so probably kind of see where I stand. I think that comes back, and I've heard more and more companies talking about, we're bringing more people back. We're, those kinds of things, and I think that's good. To much more of an office that I think they've changed a lot. I think offices have, and how they're used and so forth. But we've been here 10 years. So, I mean, not a lot has changed, people, but try to limit turnover. But I think that's going to come around. Is it going to be and fill all that they have? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe pick up some more high-rise apartments out of this. What had been an office building, I don't know.
That's everybody hopes that these buildings can be converted, and because we have a shortage of housing and an oversupply of office, it seemed like a perfect marriage, but making it work, kind of hard too,
But these new office buildings that you're seeing, they're pretty spiffy, They really are, and they're paying spiffy rents.
And they're the ones filling up the fastest. The new ones built, I go, wow, we could be here.
The most expensive.
And if you're trying to get your employees to come back to work,
exactly.
And hey, let's have a really cool office building with all this, places for bikes, places for coffee, good restaurant, whatever it is, and not a dark and dank cubicle somewhere. That's
exactly.
So they're making it better, and the people, oh, you're going to make me come back to work. Then I don't. It's got to be better than my house. Anyway, Trey Odom, thanks so much. Good to talk to you, man. And
Well, it's good to be with you.
Well, let's do it again.
I think we've been with Realty News. If we weren't the first, I bet we're the first 5.
Yeah,
With you.
Yeah, we've very cool. We appreciate you and appreciate what you contribute to this whole town, man. So
you've done a great job, and it's been fun. It's been fun seeing your see R&R. I mean, you go to it, and then we were on a call with a guy out of DC or New York, and he had been all over your site and referenced it in the call. So I thought that was good.
We'll have a link up there to this podcast pretty soon, man.
Awesome. Thanks. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend.
We appreciate it. We'll see you.
Take care. Bye-bye.